What's going on, y'all? You're back. I'm your host, Paco. You're listening to Occupy the Media. I want to thank you for tuning in. Real quickly, you've been asking for it. Now we've got it. Ron Paul Radio merchandise. Join our fight against the corrupt mainstream media by telling your friends and neighbors about Ron Paul Radio with bumper stickers, buttons, and more. Check it out by going to ronpaulradio.com and clicking on the store link, or just go to ronpaulradio.com/store. So we have Parliamentarian Steve on the line with us, guys. If you have any questions, anything we haven't answered, or even if we need to go back over it, post it on the chat room on ronpaulradio.com. Send your invites out there. I'm giving Steve up to 2 hours here on the show today, so we should have plenty of time to get to your questions. And also on ronpaultribune.com, scroll down, click on the voice chat room, and you'll see like-minded folks, Chris, Josiah, Moto. What's going on, y'all? And you can stay tuned with us. Okay, Steve, you want to take off where you left off at?
Yeah, I think I can kind of get there. I don't remember exactly where I was, but we were talking about the RNC. While they may not recognize the state's ability to bind delegates in a particular manner, which, again, I want to be clear, the RNC does recognize the binding of delegates. Just look at Rule 15. It's actually very, very clear in the manner that they can bind delegates based on primary vote. But while they may not recognize the state's ability to bind delegates in certain ways, the states can and the districts can actually recognize their ability to bind delegates. You have to understand, what a delegate is supposed to be. A delegate is supposed to be a representative representing an entire district, county, or state based on the will of the people. Now, the delegate process was put into place, though, as a safeguard. It was put there so that, somebody like a Mitt Romney couldn't just buy the election by just outspending everybody 10-1, or that they were susceptible to some type of voter fraud or inside coercion, but rather that an election would be held and that the people would make an educated choice based on the candidate that they felt would be best representative of their district. So that, the delegates have two parts, but the way that the bylaws are written is there could be a couple of different things that could occur. And what I want everyone to look at is their district bylaws and their state bylaws for two things. What is the potential penalty should you break state party rules and, vote your conscience? Secondly, what does your district and state bylaws state as far as being able to abstain on one ballot or multiple ballots? This will give you a better idea of what you can actually do without the consequence of some type of penalty. Now, penalties can range from a number of different things. There can be, fines that are placed upon you. I mean, over this last week, Paco, in the Ron Paul Tribune, some people have said, they looked at their bylaws. It was said $200 was a fine. Somebody said $1,000. So it could be a monetary consequence should you break state party rule. But the worst case is you literally could be either removed as a credentialed delegate from the RNC and replaced with an alternate that may not be a Ron Paul supporter, or you could be removed from the entire Republican Party for life. I mean, I've seen these things over the past. I'm not saying it's in every state. This is why you have to look at your specific state's district and county bylaws and state bylaws to see what pertains to your particular area, because they vary. And if the delegates don't have all the information that they need going to the convention and just decide to go in and say, hey, I'm using Rule 38 without understanding all the consequences that could happen, it could be detrimental. And what I like to use here is the example of Nevada. And the reason that I say that is because what is the long-term goal here should hypothetically Ron Paul not get 1,144 delegates and become the Republican nominee? And there are penalties that remove officers from their positions or expel them from the GOP completely. We have to have a contingency plan so we know all the information so we can make intelligent decisions. So Nevada, for example, for the next 4 years controls the entire Republican Party. Now, some people will say, well, so what? Big deal. It's the Republican Party. They're corrupt. Well, they've taken back the party from the corruption that you're talking about. Okay, and this is important because what that party could do, the leadership in Nevada, they can change and amend their bylaws to basically that the primary is no longer held to elect or nominate their candidate to run on their ballot, but the delegates actually decide who gets placed on the ballot to run in that state, whether it be for Congress or for Senate or, for the President of the United States and so on down the line. That is an incredible amount of power, which is what was actually done to a sitting incumbent senator in Utah that was running for re-election, and the delegates voted to remove him from consideration of being on the ballot. The guy ended up having to run as an independent. So there is an incredible amount of power of holding the chair positions and officer positions in a state party. So should Ron not get enough votes to become president, we have to look at all the contingencies so we're not taking 4 steps back from all the work that's been put in for the last 5 years.
Yes, because part of the whole thing is taking over the party from the inside, not just Ron Paul being president. So we want to be able to hold all of our positions and take over not just Nevada, but as many GOPs as possible. And we have someone else joining the chat that posted a question here, Steve. I see they have said no camera at the Congressional District Convention. I plan on changing that. How do I do that, and how will they try and stop it?
Well, the first thing that you need to do is take a look at your bylaws to see if it says anything to the contrary about recording a convention in any way. I mean, I've been going to conventions, for years. I mean, I haven't for the last few years, but when I did, we used to record everything just for accuracy. Yeah. So if there's nothing in your bylaws that state to the contrary that you can't record, bring that up. Make a motion. If there is something in the bylaws that says, that recording devices are not permitted in the convention hall, then make a motion, to actually allow recording for accuracy during the convention. Let the body, the assembly, vote on it. Again, the chairman is not the end-all, be-all. He is there to keep order. It's the assembly that dictates and decides what can and cannot happen.
Okay, and I also want to let everyone know that's in the chat. I've been posting it up. I'm going to post it up again right here. I just put up the link. If you click on that link, it has a list of all the bylaws, a link to all the bylaws for each state, I believe, except one. So your state should definitely be up there. You can get your state bylaws. Now, Steve, where do you recommend people look to find their district bylaws?
Well, that would be with their local GOP. I mean, they should be able to find them on the website. If they can't find them on the website, that they are easily obtained by request. Just contact your local district GOP and tell them you'd like a copy of the bylaws. It's important to have these things. And I mean, folks, quite honestly, if you're going to go into conventions or you're going to continue along with this, you need to know these things. You have to understand how the system works to be effective. Paco, I'd like to give one example of what actually happened the other day from somebody that probably everybody in here knows. Most of you know him as T-Mott, but his name is Minister Derek Grayson. He went to the Georgia Convention, and I saw a small video clip of him chastising the chair because here's what happened. The chairman had said previously that he's going to allow everyone a chance to speak. Well, that didn't last very long, and somebody moved to call the question. Now, what moving to call the question means we're going to end debate, and we're going to put this motion to a vote on the floor now. Then the chairman has to actually put it to a vote. Now, the only way to stop debate and call the question requires a 2/3 majority. Now, I don't know if that happened or not because I don't have any video to confirm or deny in either way. But what Derek did was he chastised the chair, saying that, you should have told these people here that even though you've called the question, I'm paraphrasing here, that you're going to stand by your word to allow these people to speak. Well, I'm sorry, folks, it doesn't work that way. The assembly voted, okay, and again, I don't know if they voted properly or not. This is why it's important to know the rules. If they did vote by 2/3 majority, then Derek is actually wrong, and the chairman was actually correct. So you were not cheated. And see, these are the things that are destroying us. When you start saying that someone cheated you and you haven't been cheated, it really shows your inexperience, and that's a major problem. So we have to understand these things.
Okay, we'll be right back. I'm your host, Paco. You're listening to Occupied Media. Stay tuned.